One of my favorite football quotes comes from former Liverpool manager Bill Shankly, who once said, "Football is like a grand piano. You need 8 men who can carry it and 3 men who can play the damn thing." I was thinking about that quote while watching Orlando Pirates against Milford yesterday, because I actually think this Orlando Pirates team is built exactly like that. Hi everyone, I am Fumane, and if you are new here, this channel is all about making sense of football, just honest conversations about the game we all love. And today I want to talk about Orlando Pirates' 2-0 win over Milford at the Norway Amstel Arena. Not really from the perspective of the result itself. I think most of us expected Pirates to win this game. What interested me was something else. As I watched the game unfold, I kept thinking about that Bill Shankly quote that I opened with, because I think it explains this Orlando Pirates team really well. Every football team has players who carry the piano. Then there are players who play it. And every great team needs both, because if everybody wants to play the piano, nobody's actually carrying it. And the ones who carry it aren't always the most flashy footballers in the squad. They're not always the players who get the headlines or the plaudits or even the awards. They're the players who make sure the team functions. They win the duels, they cover ground, they press, they carry the water for the team. They do the ugly parts of football that allow everyone else to shine. Then you've got the players who play the piano. The players with vision and imagination. The players who see things other children don't see. The ones who can receive the ball under pressure, solve problems, and make football look easy. And as I was watching Pirates yesterday, I realized something. This team has plenty of players who carry the piano. You think Sipho Chaine, Sibisi, Hotto, Mbatha, just to name a few. Those are the guys you trust because they'll give you everything. They'll work. They'll compete, they'll make life difficult for the opposition. Then you've got the players who play it, the players who play the piano. Players like Mbatha, who's no longer with us at Pirates, Patrick Maswanganyi on his day, Cameron Dansin, Oswin Apollos. Now, the reason I wanted to start there is because I actually think yesterday's game showed us both sides of that equation. It showed us why Pirates need the players who carry the piano, but it also reminded me just how special the players who play it can actually be. And I want to start with the players for Pirates who I would say carry it. Take someone like Sipho Chaine. You almost don't speak about him after the game because that's exactly what you want from your goalkeeper. Nothing dramatic, no chaos, no conversations, no headlines, just assurance. When he had to deal with something, he dealt with it with aplomb. Job done. The same goes for Sibisi. I thought Sibisi was excellent. He won his duels. He looked composed, despite one almost punishable error at the back, and he looked like a captain of Orlando Pirates overall. Then there's Sebelebele. I actually thought he was rather outstanding. Every time he got on the ball, he just looked superior to the player in front of him, and you expect it. There were moments where Milford tried to press him, and he almost looked like he was saying, "Relax, I've been at the FIFA World Cup." He gave Pirates width in attack, he was brave in possession, and he kept making runs beyond Milford to cause them problems, and you expect that. Talent Mbatha. I thought Mbatha understood his responsibility yesterday, because when you are playing next to Cameron Dansin, somebody has to be the adult, the grown-up in midfield. Dansen naturally wants to play football, wants to receive, he wants to dictate the game, he wants to combine and burst forward. So Mbatha had to be the one balancing everything. And I thought he did it brilliantly. Every time Milford tried to break through midfield, Mbatha was there. Whenever Pirates needed someone to settle the game down, he was available. I actually appreciate Talent Mbatha so much. I really do. He allowed, for me yesterday, Dansen to shine. So everyone saw about Dansen, Mbatha allowed him to shine. I know that Mbatha wants himself to be the one playing the piano, but he carries it whenever he is asked. Then you've got someone like Hotto. Again, Hotto is Hotto. He's a carrier of the piano. At this point, we know exactly what we're getting from him. He's going to work. He's going to overlap. He's going to make himself available. He's going to give absolutely everything and more physically. That's what you get from Hotto, and you know you're getting that. But the last person I want to touch on in this category of players is Moremi. I think I've finally found words to describe him. Moremi is a 10 out of 10 player and a 3 out of 10 player in the same game. He'll spend 70 minutes frustrating you, heavy touches, wrong decisions, running into traffic, all of that. And then out of nowhere, he produces a goal like the one we saw yesterday against Milford. And suddenly you remember why he keeps on playing, because he's dangerous. He's always one moment away from changing the game. He's a carrier of this Orlando Pirates piano, all things considered. Bad moments, good moments, he carries the piano. Now, onto the football brains of the team. Before anybody misunderstands me, every footballer, I beg your pardon, thinks about the game. I want to clarify that. I just mean that there are players who just seem to understand football on a different level than others. Players whose biggest gift is, you'd say, their football brains, their football intelligence. Players who seem to solve football problems naturally. Let's start with Patrick Maswanganyi. I'm starting with him because he falls in this category, but I don't think he had one of his better games for Pirates yesterday. He had a bad game, rather, given the expectations that we have for the number 10 position this season. And this isn't me attacking Maswanganyi, because we all know that he's talented and he's got a lot of attackers. He doesn't need me to add on. But I think sometimes he overcomplicates football. Maybe a lot of the time he complicates football these days. With attacking midfielders, we naturally forgive mistakes because they're trying to make these things happen. Some would say they're trying to compose songs. That's their job. They're supposed to take risks. But I think Tito sometimes crosses that line. Sometimes it feels like he's trying to make a statement every single time he receives the ball. And the game doesn't always need that. You know, sometimes the right thing is the simple pass, Tito. Sometimes the quickest decision is the best decision. When Tito first arrived at Pirates, what impressed me was that everything he did felt like it was right for the team. Now when I watch him, I feel like he's trying to remind everybody how good Tito is. And ironically, that's when he becomes a worse player. The best version of Maswanganyi is the one who disappears into the team, the one who plays naturally, the one who isn't in his head and forcing moments. I'll skip talking about Ozwen Apollos in this video and go to the player I was watching more closely than anybody else, and that is Cameron Dansin. Now, I've already made a whole video explaining why I think Cameron Dansin is one of the biggest talents at Orlando Pirates in South Africa, even going as far as likening him to Pedri. Nothing I saw yesterday changes that opinion. If anything, yesterday I think he strengthened it. He's phenomenal, just stupidly good, honestly. Always looking for a little space, then calling for the ball. Every time he received possession, he looked comfortable. Every first touch that he made looked assured. He always seemed to know what he wanted to do with the ball before he got it. He doesn't panic, he doesn't rush. Again, I genuinely think if he's allowed to develop properly, which I think at Pirates he will be allowed to develop properly, he's the next player that European clubs will come knocking for at Pirates. But having said that, there's something I noticed yesterday that I think is going to determine how quickly Dansen becomes a regular starter at Pirates. And it is this: what happens when Pirates don't have the ball? I actually thought Milford played through Dansen a little bit too easily and to my discomfort. He tries to stop the opposition. It's not an effort thing, don't get me wrong. But winning the ball back isn't his biggest strength. I can say that. When Pirates had possession, Dansen was controlling the game. Okay, when Milford had possession, they drove past Cameron Dansin. And in modern football, whether you want to hear it or not, that's a problem. Okay, I know you don't want to hear it, but it is a problem, especially if you're playing as one of the deeper midfielders. You are marked down points for being a luxury in possession, but a liability out of it. Against Milford, Mbatha could hold it down and cover Dansen. Against Amazulu, against Champions League oppositions, that's going to become much harder. So I almost wonder whether, for now, his best position, Dansen, is playing alongside two other midfielders where he can influence the game without carrying quite as much a defensive responsibility. Because offensively, obviously, I honestly think he's special, but defensively, I think there's a lot of work that's going to need to be done there for him to cement a place. Let me wrap this up. We saw a few debutants as well. Neo Rapo didn't have loads of time, so I don't think it's fair for me to make big statements yet. But I think the fact that he got some time is a statement in itself. Not a lot of time for Maswanganyi Zulu as well. He came on, looked solid, didn't overcomplicate things. And that's perfectly fine for a first appearance for Zulu. Masilela probably excited me the most because you could immediately see the profile. Comfortable receiving in tight spaces, good body shape, confident on the ball. That's all I wanted to see yesterday. Promise. The end product can come later. The same can be said with Hositile, who's direct, positive, wanted to run at defenders. Again, I'm not judging these guys after 20 minutes, but I'm judging whether they look like they belong. And I think Hositile, he does. The numbers will come when you look home in a Pirates jersey, but he certainly looks home in that Pirates jersey and the numbers will come. Overall, I actually don't think Pirates were brilliant yesterday. I think there were periods where we became a little bit complacent. I think Milford probably left Norway thinking they could have made life a little bit more difficult for Pirates. But equally, good teams win games without playing their best football. So Pirates weren't at their fluent best yesterday, but they still won 2-0. They kept a clean sheet. They started the season with 3 points. And sometimes, you know this, that's all that matters. The performance can improve. The sharpness will come with the season. But the points are already in the bag. And I think that's what matters most. Let me leave it there.